welcome to this long form content. You are in for a treat. This is an exciting trip for us. We've been here, it's now, when are we? February 2026. Last I was here was in June 2025, and a lot has changed since that, I can tell you. So enjoy all the content from this trip. It's a long trip for me, but it will be not as much content as normal. So we might be able to do this in part one. And I hope you really enjoy it. We're on Tito's farm with Tilapia Peace, fantastic organisation. You'll hear a bit more about them. But look at this beautiful scenery and like these oranges, and I can hear the birds in the background and the frogs going. It's wonderful. Anyway, sit back, enjoy this content. You're going to learn lots about fish farming. You're going to learn about maggots. You're going to learn about BSF. You're going to learn about radical. You're going to learn about training and extension and all sorts of things that you need to do well in fish farming in Uganda. So stay tuned for this content. Hello, welcome to the channel. It's great to see you. I'm on a fish farm today, and it's quite unusual for me because I'm in the north part of the country in the eastern region in Soroti. So there's fruits, there's lemons, these are some orange trees around. It's very, very beautiful. But we're here for fish farming. There's about 10 ponds over together, 6 of these bigger ones that you can see behind me. They're about 15 by 30 meters. And this is fish farming here, and there's some real things that can be done to improve this location. So let's jump straight into that, shall we? So the first thing you're going to need to do to improve a farm like this is sort out your weeds. Now, Tito over there is one of the farmers. And the reason we're here is because we're thinking about we are going to be doing some new hubs in Uganda, which is very exciting. We've been trying to do this for years now, and we finally secured the necessary funds with some partners to be able to do that. So we're sort of scouting out locations. You've seen some of the people already. Philip's over there. We went to visit his farm before. And this is the Soroti region in the eastern part of the country. So we're looking at a hub here. So anyway, back to the content on how to improve these beautiful ponds. I mean, they are wonderful. Like, you've got the oranges there, you've got pawpaw in between. Beautiful scenery. Now, these lily pads, Tito was telling me he planted them deliberately, actually, because he wants to give the fish some shade. And he's not wrong. I mean, it's like 36 degrees now, and it's about 5 p.m. and it's hot, ring hot. Actually, it's not 30. I think it's like 6 degrees earlier, but it's maybe around 30 now, so it's very hot. So I can understand why you'd want to put shade for your fish. But actually, with tilapia, the challenge you're going to have with this is, one, this is going to take any nutrition out of the water, so it stops the water going green. So you can see it's brown. And then the tilapia can't naturally feed on anything in the water. So that's one problem. And then the second problem with this amount of shading is that when you come to harvest your fish, all of this needs to be pulled up by the roots to be able to get the net through the water. And that's going to be really a challenging issue. So these fish, there's about 4,000 tilapia he stocked. He put these in, they've been there for about 8 months now. And you can see, look how dense this is. So that's one of the issues, I would say, with this system. The second improvement I would mention is just on fertilisation. The cost of feed is just very expensive, and we all know that if you're a fish farmer. You're paying, if you're buying at shillings, you're paying about 5,000 a kilo for feed pellets once you factor in transport, which is about $1.50. And then the fish is, you're trying to sell your fish. He's getting very low prices of around that, actually, for his fish. So, 1 kilo of feed is going to cost you the same as producing a kilo of fish. But of course, you need more than a kilo of fish, more than a kilo of feed to make a kilo of fish. And then, of course, you've got mortalities and things like that. So it's not possible to just use pellets. But the thing about ponds is you can fertilise. And these ponds, with all the, I'm not sure what this plant is, like some sort of lily, all of that is stopping the green growth, the algal growth, and there's no fertilisation. So that's sort of this big number 2 thing you can do, is to improve his growth rate of fish is to fertilise his ponds. And then the third thing I would suggest to him is sorting out the market. Getting 5,000 for your fish is just so low. It's like almost, it's just painfully low for an amount of work that's gone into this. So you need to address that. So either you go for a no feed strategy just with fertilizer and you get what you harvest, or you sort out your market and you connect with some buyers, or you find alternative vending routes. I don't know, it's hard to be honest with a farmer. And that's the third point, is that improvement, it's not really always possible for farmers. And that's exactly why we're setting up hubs, is because we believe that we have the solution for farmers. Like, we've got 5 things that they need. One of them is market. And we actually pay our farmers 8,000 shillings a kilo, which is double what he's getting. And we can still make a profit, and the consumer gets fish that they can afford. So all in all, it's a much better system. So the market one, the third improvement he can make, it's very hard. I'm not quite sure how he would do that. The fourth thing he could work on is the seed part. So he was telling us that he's got mixed sex tilapia in here, so male and female fish, which on paper sounds great, because when you're farming with other livestock, you can produce your own livestock, right? We all know how biology works, but the problem with fish is they'll rapidly reproduce with no predation, and then you end up with so many fish in a pond that there isn't any resources for them to get bigger. And then what you end up with, just lots and lots of tiny little fish, you know, even too small for us to sell, although there is a fish protein powder that we are looking at. Anyway, that's a side story. The point is, it's very tricky for you to sell your fish. So we always recommend mixed, not using mixed sex, but sex reversed. And what you're doing is you're using a natural mechanism that fish have, where they're genetically plastic. And basically you want just all male fish. There's 2 reasons for that. One, they're not reproducing, so you're not having all these extra fish being produced and then there's competition. But the second thing is that males grow faster than females because they're focusing on muscle and not on producing eggs. So that's be the fourth thing I would recommend, is just making sure that you're producing male fish and going mixed, male fish as much as you possibly can. I hope you've enjoyed that. That's me leaving Tito's farm, just walking there in the front. It's a beautiful place. The sun is setting. It's always the best, one of the start of the day, end of the day. They're always so beautiful, aren't they? So it's been very pleasant for us. I hope you've enjoyed this. Like and subscribe. There's more content coming of this trip, and stay tuned for more. Welcome to Orono Moses' farm. He is a fish farmer here in Soroti. That's where we are in eastern Uganda. Very beautiful place. He's a catfish farmer. He has 6 ponds, and he's harvested 2 of those ponds, and he has 4 left. He has about 2,000 individuals in each farm. You can see here some of the challenges and the problems he's got. Oh, just getting caught on this. This is a very clever innovation. He's planting grass here. He's put this very thorny acacia to stop animals getting through so that the grass can grow. Anyway, we are looking at some of the challenges he has, some of the problems. He's doing very well at the market. He's selling around 1 pond gives him about 15 to 25 million, which is quite a lot of money. So we are just wanting to talk to him, find out his problems, some of the challenges with catfish farming, some of the solutions. So if you want to stick around, do subscribe to our channel. That helps us. And we can tell you as much as we know about catfish farming. And I hope that you find this video very useful for you. So welcome. Let's start the video. These 2 are the catfish that we're looking at. And you just picked them from this farm. Which pond? Chilaba? This one here. Yeah, so he just picked them from there. And this is, if he's going to market, he'll take them like this and take them to the market. What size do you think these are? What size would you estimate these catfish?
The size?
Yeah.
We may say maybe grams.
Yeah, how many grams do you think?
It can maybe reach 200 grams. 200
grams or 150 grams for those catfish, yeah. It's good. So you'll take them to market like that?
Yeah, just for a show.
Yeah, just for a show, I see. You can see here just the damage on some of the fish, basically, because they've got sharp spines, they can pierce each other. So you can see like there's some fungus growing on that one. So these are too small for market. These wouldn't be sold, but they'll be transported like that to some places, but in a larger bucket. You can see them here. So we're going to stick these back in a moment. We're going to put these back. You saw the injury in some of these, but there's a chance that they will survive, and then they grow up, and we can hopefully harvest. So this pond is still not been harvested yet. They were only stocked in 2.5 months ago. So what that would be November 2025. We're now in February. So you can see a bit of movement on the water where the fish are coming through. So yeah, that's like the market realities here. And there's a lot of catfish. This pond is a catfish. Sorry, this farm is a catfish farm. And he's got 4 ponds at the moment, which are not harvested, and they stocked them back in 2.5 months ago. He's hoping to harvest them in May. So he's saying that he's harvested 2 ponds already from a previous stocking, and that gave him good money. He was saying 15 to 25 million per pond. We're gonna have a look at his records, because that's always a good practice. Like you should have, as a farmer, good record keeping, so that you know what your expenses are, you know your number, you know if you're improving, what your predation is like. He was mentioning he gets a lot of predation from birds and from monitor lizards, who will take fish in this part. Where we are in Rukungiri, we get less predation from monitor lizards, but certainly from birds. But catfish are very cannibalistic, so a lot of the predation he's seeing could actually be from catfish consuming each other. You get what's called shooters. So that's an issue that he has to face. One of the things that Simon does is he will, when he gets his catfish fingerlings, he puts them into these nursery ponds. You can see they are about 5 by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can pace it out just to find out. So that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it's about 7. Always great to see a bit of accuracy, because farm records are very important to you as a farmer. You need to know exactly what's coming in, what's going out. So I like to see the accuracy when people are talking about ponds. I'm just going to stand under this shade for a moment. It's quite hot here. So with these, what I was saying is he'll keep his fingerlings in here, and the reason he does that is he can cover it with a net, and then it protects it from predation. Because one of the challenges he was talking about here is there's a lot of predation from monitor lizards and from birds and from tadpoles. So this pond you can manage, you can empty it, get rid of all the frog spawns, there's no tadpoles in it, put a small net over it because it's quite small. You put your catfish fingerlings in for a month, and then once you've done that, you can empty it and transfer them to these bigger ponds where they can grow out. Now, one of the things Orono Moses was telling me was that he will grade his catfish, it's called, every 4 months. So in that process, what you're trying to do is, catfish are quite predatory, so they eat each other. And there's always what we call shooters, so ones that shoot their growth very, very quickly. They become like 10 times the size of another catfish, and they will eat all the small catfish. And then, you stock 2,000 and you end up with far less because they've all been eaten. So you need to grade regularly your catfish. Now, I would suggest that you do it every month at least, not sooner. And you remove those big catfish and you put them somewhere else. And then you're left with a number of catfish that will just grow naturally, but they're not eating each other. So they'll eat the feed that you're giving them. Tadpoles. Tadpoles become hunted at that stage. Now he does that every 4 months, but I would suggest that that's not enough. The numbers he's telling me are coming out are 1,300 to 1,500 individuals once you stock 2,000, which I think is very impressive. But I would like to see some evidence of that. I think farmers sometimes, we overestimate, because if we're not keeping records and we're not counting everything. But anyway, it's very good results. Then once he's put the catfish in the ponds, he will leave them in these bigger ponds for about 5 months or so, and then he will take them to market, and he's getting around, he sells it per piece. He's got a very clever marketing strategy, so he'll go to the local churches. There's a lot of churches around here, there's lots of many mosques, and he will make a public announcement and say, look, I've got fish to sell on this date, come over and harvest. And then the people in the community will come, they buy, the money that they have in their pockets, they will take out, then they sell it and they buy per piece. So that's quite a good strategy in terms of getting your client base up. He will also, there's certain individuals that he can ring, and they'll come with larger, buy a larger volume of fish, and that way he can sell his catfish. Now, the great thing about catfish actually is they survive for a lot longer out of the water than tilapia. So if you are in an area like this with, look at those beautiful cows with the humps, if you are trying to sell your catfish and you don't have any refrigeration, there's no electricity around here, and maybe you can't afford it because it's very expensive, then you have to sell it fresh. And you're able to do that with catfish a bit easier than you are with tilapia, because they will survive for a lot longer. You can maybe put them in a big container of water, something like that, and they won't die straight away. So that does make it easier for you as someone trying to sell catfish. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is, when it comes to catfish, is you need to worry about drainage. So if we look at this pond, we'll just try and work out where the inlets and outlets are. And I'll have a look in a second. Challenge you have with an area like this is you can see this water here, which is just on the surface. Draining this pond is incredibly difficult because, of course, that's the water table essentially, and so you're trying to, if you've got an outlet, which he says he's got outlets and inlets, so pipes that will allow water in and out, they won't drain because the water on the water level of the table is at that height. So then you need to get a pump. So he was saying, when it comes to draining, he's got to wait for the right season, and then you can open the outlet, and then you will pump your water out, and then you can harvest your catfish. And catfish are quite notoriously tricky to harvest because they burrow very well into the mud. So you need to get all of your mud out, all your water out, so you can get into the mud and harvest all the catfish. So you're not left with stock. So that's one challenge he's got. And then you can see some pellets as well. Can you see are those eggs? I'm not sure. No, I think those are parts of the plant. How silly me. They look a bit like pellets on top of the lily pads there. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was around the feeding. So that's why I thought those are pellets. He does use some, they're like pellets, so they're he calls them balls. They are very, very expensive, 7,500 per kilo. So he'll get maybe 1 bag per pond, so it's supplementary, and then he will make his own feed out of omena, which is like a tiny little fish, any offals that he can find, anything like that, and he will sort of mix that with maize bran, and he will feed that to his catfish whenever he can. But normally with catfish, they will eat anything else that's in the pond, so that's a lot of the reliance in the feeding. So catfish, I would say, if you're going to grow catfish, they're very difficult to do just because of the grading that's necessary, and they can grow very fast. You can get some really impressive sized fish, but then you end up with only a few of those, and the vast majority are very tiny. So the overall challenges of catfish farming. So yeah, I think they are a more complex species to grow. They need less maintenance in a sense, you can sort of leave them. They're very, very hard to kill, so you can always be sure that you'll get something, but the challenges remain for farmers trying to grow catfish. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Hopefully there's some use to you as the viewer to just sort of have an oversight of catfish, the real life experience of a farmer here in Soroti, with very little extension, very little support, very little infrastructure, and these are the lived realities of farmers. He is hoping to expand. He said he's got 7 ponds that he's sort of in progress over there. So he obviously really believes in catfish farming, fish farming. He's talking about tilapia next. So yeah, real thanks to him for allowing us to visit, and stay tuned for more videos.
it's the rooting part. Then this is the
Trunk.
the stem. Then these are the roots. So this part here is amnio. This is the farm, amnio integrated farm, stroke community farmers. Then this part from here up to here, I call it TRP for peace. And then down here, these are the donors. So each part has its own responsibility and the functions. The functions of the donors just to observe water and like some stuff. For the food to survive.
These folks are pumping water. So they're lacking a pump. So this is they're trying to drain this pond, and they're using their hands to do it. So they built a little dam. The guys channel it. These ladies are pushing it. Then out it comes over here into there and drains away. But it's a lot of hard work. We are here at this farm. We're about to go and speak to the community. It's a community farm, so there's several people here. I don't know anything about their production. You've got some really nice green ponds in the distance. You can see they're fantastically green, which is great because I haven't seen any green ponds yet. I'm hoping that they're feeding tilapia with those, but we'll find out. My name's Tim, here from RAD. We're in Soroti in the eastern north of Uganda, and welcome to this is a wonderful community project, and I really like it. It shows entrepreneurship, it shows hard work, and you can see the extent to which people are willing to go if, you know, for some fish and to improve their nutrition and their livelihoods. You know, this pumping that they're doing is really good. I haven't seen this before, and they're telling me it takes about 3 days to get this all pumped out. We started yesterday. You can see like all the effort that it goes into it. Let me turn the camera. So what they're trying to do here is they've got some catfish and tilapia in here, and they're just trying to totally clear it. And so they've got, like you can see there, they've got a net, mosquito net, just to stop any fish going out, so that in that little bit where they're standing. And then they throw the water out across this dam, and it will go out into the swamp. And you can see like the levels come down quite a bit from yesterday, but it's obviously still filtering in from the sides and from the water table, so it will take a while to come out. And this is because the price, they have got no access to a pump. Even if they did have access to a petrol or a diesel pump or a solar pump, they would have no money to pay for it. Well, solar pumps doesn't work because you need their fixed locations generally, and then petrol, again, the cost of fuel. So this is what they're having to resort to. I'll just talk you through the production. Quite interesting. So Paulson's with the husband, but actually this is a community group with women at the head. She's busy in the market today. It's a market day. We were at the market earlier and we saw loads of fish. Really interesting, the market dynamics here, but I won't go into that too much. And I didn't take any video because taking a video in the market draws a lot of attention. So anyway, she's at the market. So I spoke to the husband, who has some information he can pass on, but it's a community group, so there's a number of people involved, and that's why there's so many community members behind me pumping. The reason I think it's quite interesting is where they've got the fish from. So there's a swamp somewhere, I think it's that way, where of course you get naturally occurring catfish and tilapia. And so what they've done is they've gone to collect the seed from that swamp, so just the young that they can get, and they put into these ponds. They grow them out, and then they harvest. And the harvest here is a lot of people to feed, so it's all home consumption. So they'll use those mosquito nets. They'll do this when they want to clear a pond. They'll use hooks, and maybe twice a week, once a week, something like that. They'll come in, they'll get their fish out. And they're about the size of your hand, so about sort of up to sort of up to there on my hand. That's the size of the catfish. And then they were saying, one of the boys' hands there, that's the size of their tilapia, so quite small fish. But it's really good nutrition, because you eat all the whole thing. So that's what they'll do. So they'll put those fish in here, and then they'll allow them to just do their thing. In terms of feeding, of course, you can imagine that there's no no available income or extra money just to spend on feed. So what they'll do is they will basically use brewers' waste. So they'll make local brew. So they do that millet, cassava, sorghum, and then or maize. They will then brew that up and make a beer out of it, which can be quite potent and quite strong. Where I'm in the western region, often they use matoke, which is like a green banana, but they don't have matoke here. So anyway, they'll use that, drink the beer, but then the byproduct, which is all is spent, they can feed directly to the fish. So not bad. And like I say, the other benefit they've got here is this is the first time I've seen quite green water. Obviously it's being fertilized by the brewer's waste, and that really helps to fertilize the ponds, and then tilapia will eat the green that's in the water. You can see they've got 4, they said, for the ponds that they're using. There's some nursery ponds over here, and then this pond is not quite finished yet, which is new. There's still a plant in the middle. So that is being finalized, and then they'll repair that pond as well. So great little system. It's very much a subsistence level, so it's what the community can do, what they can afford. There's very little knowledge around available for them. The market is, like I say, it's not really available either, so they're just trying to consume locally, so they eat themselves. There's no seed, so the reason they're going to a swamp to get their fingerlings is because they've got no way of getting fingerlings from anywhere else. So that's what they're resourcing to. And then feed, they can't access feeds that are affordable and available. Now, interestingly enough, in terms of BSF, which is what black soldier fly, which is what we use to feed our fish and is very cheap and affordable, that is not being used here in any significant way. But I have noticed a lot of waste, so I'll just show you here. See that orange, it's just discarded. And there's loads of oranges. This is orange and citrus and all sorts of things. On the bottom of these orange trees, there's lots of rotten fruit that just spoiled, matured, whatever it is. But there's a lot of waste there that could be turned into feed with BSF. You maybe need to supplement it with some manure or something else. You can get some chicken droppings or something like that, just to sort of boost up the protein. But you could produce BSF here fairly easily, and it would help you with your feed. I also haven't seen this before, which is a rock in the middle of a fish pond. Of course, practically this would be very difficult to seine, because you would need to put your net in and then you sweep it round, but obviously the rock's in the middle, so any fish around the base of the rock would get stuck and could escape. So that's a challenge. But a beautiful area, beautiful community. They're listening to music, having fun. I'm very pleased that we can visit them and learn about their challenges, their solutions to those challenges, and if there is a way that we can do something together. Like I say, we're looking to build another hub in this region, so even if they aren't directly the hub, they could benefit, because they'd be one of the farms that we could support with some of the things that they need: market, feed, seed, equipment, and expertise. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next video. Pretty cool. Children here are doing some fishing. You can see this is just like a local swamp, so see what we get. Little fish, little tadpoles, just for fun. There's a pig over there in the distance. Yeah, very cool. This is the sort of thing you would use to catch the fish in the pond. See if, anyway, I don't think they're obviously not going to catch something whilst I'm on camera. That would be too good. Good footage there, okay? Nice to see them catch something. But I doubt they'll catch anything just yet. There is saying the reason there's so many children is that, I forget if this is the summer holidays, but for me, because I'm used to the UK system, it's holidays are different, but it's February, so they'll go back next week. Yeah. All right. Better get cracking. Thanks very much again. See you on the next. Catfish. That's what we're looking at today. You can see that we are here in the markets. We're selling catfish. Now, catfish is quite a unique fish. Normally we focus on tilapia. So let me tell you in this video how we sell catfish best practice, and then you can hopefully learn something too. So we'll start with the challenges that we have with catfish. When you're cleaning your catfish, you need to be careful how you do it. So you can see they've been threaded together here. So we've got Bright, who's cleaning the catfish for us at the moment. So this has come out of our freezer because we harvested recently. Put it in the freezer to keep it cool, and then it needs to be gutted and cleaned here. So we're doing that. You can see that the size is quite small for these pieces, but actually that's not bad, because the challenge with producing catfish is generally you don't sell them at that size. You sell them much bigger, like a few kilos sometimes. But in a market like this, which is this is sort of typical representation of Uganda in terms of people's income level and their ability to purchase big fish. People aren't going to spend, 15,000 shillings, $3 on a large catfish, because they don't necessarily, well, it'll be $4 actually. They don't necessarily have that money. So something like this, which is much smaller, I don't know, about maybe 100 and something grams, I would guess. It's much more affordable. So what we do is we gut it here, clean it, and then we chop it into pieces. So you can see here this bucket full of catfish pieces there. So that's in there. It's in a flour. And then Campurira here is frying our fish. So you can see it's looking nice and crispy. And then we sell it per piece. So we solve our problem that catfish is very expensive if you're buying the whole fish, and we sell it in a small piece like this. And then I'm going to show you where we sell it, but that price is much more affordable for people. Then we have our little unit here. So you can see we've got our signs or branding on the tent, which is very nice. I've not seen this tent yet, so it's good to see it up. We have a little cabinet just to keep the flies off, make it a bit hygienic. And then you see our customers, and it's got Aini here in front, Mercy, who works with us in powder. They are like buying the fish, and then they sell it, they eat it, and they pay the money they have. So we've got different prices depending on what you get. So let me show you the different prices that we have. The fresh catfish has just arrived. You can see it in these pieces here. So these are the pieces. How much do we sell those, Aini?
Each is 1,000.
1,000 for everything?
Each.
So each one is 1,000.
Yes.
And Madame is taking is this for your family, for your children, Abana? Or for you? Aha, it's for your children. Yeah, fantastic. So that's what we love to see. So that's the thing about catfish. You basically gotta package it right, because selling whole catfish traditionally, which is like larger, like 1.5 kilos, 2 kilo fish, is way beyond the reach of most people. So if you put it here, chop to little bits, then you're reaching customers in a way that they can afford to buy those fish. And then I'll show you once this lady's finished purchasing, I'll show you sort of the price range that we have available. So that piece that's just put back is a whole catfish. We normally sell that at 2,000 or 1,000, and then see that catfish head there. That one, there's not much meat on it, so we sell that for 500, which is quite our lowest price. But you can see the different wares that we have available. Yeah, and then you can see. So since we've been filming, it's probably seen like close to 5 customers, and people can sit on the bench behind. They can see that it's fresh, it's tasty, it's nutritious, and take it to your family. And it's really great. So I love the fact that we've made fish affordable and we can bring it to the market. So this ladies here has just handed over some cash, buying some more, and it's great. And this market will go on all day. I think it's once a month, this market, so it's quite a large, once every 2 weeks, sorry. So it's quite a large one, but we have other markets we go to, and then there's another lady who, she buys the fish fresh, so without any of the added cost that we have for frying. She gets paid, she takes up a bit less, she does the frying herself, and then she sells it. So we have people like that as well. And then we can reach even more people if she can wander around, or she has a local community that she works with, and increase our sales that way. So when it comes to catfish, you're going to struggle with the production because they're very cannibalistic, so they eat each other, so you have to be a bit careful. So we've talked about that in other videos. But if you're going to sell it, just think about how you're going to do that, and how you sort of make sure that you're making the money you need from selling fish, and that your customers can afford. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Do stay tuned. There'll be plenty more content coming, and thanks for watching. And these catfish chunks, delicious, very nice, very wholesome. Some good fat on there, which is what you want for, in this part of the world where there's not a lot of food available for people that they can afford. So yeah, it's a perfect product, and you package it just right and people love it. Ben's just feeding our broodstock. At the moment we're resting these females. They came out of their production pond about 2 weeks ago. Is that right, Benj?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. And they are just resting. So you breed them in a pond with males. These are the females. And then you allow them to recuperate. So this happer has got, these have been resting since November, you said. So they've had 2 months. They haven't bred yet. You can see them there. And we will, in about 2 weeks, we're going to put them for breeding. So as Benj does that, I'll just talk you through what we're going to do. So these female fish are F21. So that means they're the second generation, and we will cross them with F1, which is the first generation of males. And you're doing these crosses because you're trying to maintain a bit of genetic diversity. You don't want to be crossing the wrong sibling groups, essentially. So you do different generations and then you keep that diversity. So then what we'll do is in 2 weeks' time, so we've just taken those females that have just come out, we've taken them out of this pond, and we're now, 2 weeks ago this was empty, harvested it, we've got the fry, which are in that lighter shade of green, that happer. Put the parents in separate happers. The males are over there in that big pond. And then we're slowly refilling it. So in 2 weeks' time, this water level will be a bit higher because it's the dry season at the moment. So it takes a while to fill up. And we'll transfer those females into here, put some males in, and then breed them. So that's essentially how you run a hatchery. Now it's very important because we're a small scale hatchery. Okay, so we're not aiming for supply. We don't want to supply cages, for instance, which would need tens of thousands of individuals. We're hoping to supply farmers that are producing 500, 200,000, 4,000, something like that. We also need to fill up our ponds with about, well, depending on the size of the pond, but around 3,000 individuals. So that's the sort of numbers we're looking at every month. So you need to work this management system out so that your brood stock, as it's called, isn't being overbred, and so you give the males and females time to rest, recuperate, produce eggs, produce sperm, but also so that they can put on weight, produce more eggs, etc. And then the other point that you're really trying to do is long term, you have to be careful that you don't inbreed, which we know about because it's a problem. So you have to be very careful with what you're breeding so you know that you have the right crosses. I can see Benjamin over there. I think he's about to go and feed some of the fingerlings. So he's got his stick. Yeah, you can see his stick. So that's, of course, powder, because we're feeding this powder, because the fingerlings are like the size of your finger. They're tiny. Even smaller, they come out as fry, really, really tiny. And their mouths are so small, of course, they can't swallow a pellet, which is 2 millimeter. So they bigger fish, of course, we can give them 2 millimeter, give them BSFL. But we try to do this because this is optimized for them. And we'll put the feed in here. So how much are you putting in, Benjamin?
Around butcheries, like estimate around 2 grams on.
2 grams or 1 gram, yeah. So we put that in because they're tiny, tiny. And then we're feeding them multiple times per day. As they get older, you can feed them less, but it's like babies. You've got to feed them a lot and little. And so they'll come up, and you might be able to see some ripples on the surface. It might be difficult to catch on the camera. And then we feed them, so he's tipping it up. And you can see, you can see that? I can see it. Let me see, zoom in a bit. You can see that's them coming up. Look at all those ripples, that's them eating. So these are 2 weeks old?
These ones, yeah.
These are 2 weeks. And what size do you think they might be?
Now they're around 0.3, 0.2.
0.3, but 0.2.
Yeah.
So we were talking to some other hatcheries, and they will often supply fingerlings at 0.3 to some people. Now, let me tell you about this. So if you are a farmer and you want to save on cost, you will go for a 0.3 gram fish, and they can be sold for like 50 to 60 shillings. Now, the issue is when fish are that small, they don't survive as well in cages or ponds. It's much harder in a pond, it's much harder for them to feed, like because they've got to break the water surface or to swim up. There's also more worry about them being predated, so something might come and eat them. There is one advantage though of that size fish is they need a lot less oxygen. So if you're going to transport them a really long way, normally you put them in a bag with oxygen, they will survive a lot longer in a bag. So for some farmers, it's not that they're trying to save money, they're trying to make sure a lot of their fingerlings survive the trip. They don't want them to die on the way. However, what we do here at RAD is we always tell farmers we want to sell fingerlings as big as possible. So we aim for about 2 grams and we sell at 200 shillings per piece. And if I had my way, we would sell at 5 grams, 10 grams. But farmers don't always want to wait that long. Because that's actually the other point, is that we tell farmers you've got to wait. And sometimes they really insist and press us and say, no, I want my fingerlings now, even if they're small. The reason we want them to wait is not that we're trying to be difficult, but we want their fingerlings to survive so they're more successful. And as a business, it makes sense for us because then, of course, they're more successful and then we get repeat business. So a bit of a balancing act when you're looking at fingerling sizes and things like that. So we'll grow these out for how much longer now?
These ones are going to grow them we are going to grow them in Hapa around 3 months. They will be around 1.5 to 2 grams or maximum 3 grams. Then we shall stock them in this pond and feed them for more 6 months and get as our breed stock.
Right, perfect. So that's, you want bigger fingerlings. It takes more time. You've got to spend a bit more effort doing it, but you'll have a better survival rate. And as Ben was saying, we will probably use them in here in our own production this particular cycle, because of course we also need to produce fish ourselves.
Yeah.
This is the second happer with another 2,500. You can see the response rate is great. So we're feeding these quite consistently, about five times a day, depending on the feed rate. They've just been fed, so this is like a second one, just for you on camera, so you can see. So that's why it's not as strong. So that this lot, this generation, and that generation in there, and then those fish will act as our future brood stock, and we will use them. So we'll do some selection on them. So what that means is, by the time they get a bit bigger, so around June, which would be 6 months, 5 months, something like that, we can start to select for the types of characteristics we want in the fish. So we might pick a bigger fish, one that looks a bit healthier, whether the weight, because we're trying to do it for food for the table, so whether weight is more on the body, so you're looking at the shape. Anything that's sickly, of course, we don't use. So those are the type of characteristics you choose, and then that, out of the 5,000 fingerlings that we have here, we will end up with a generation that we will call our broodstock, and then we can breed that with some other, the Ruruku, the hatchery, where we're going to go to after this. We'll breed that with those individuals. So you're trying to keep them separate. So then you keep your breeds associated. And at some point, we'll probably bring in some other tilapia from other parts of the country that show good potential, so that we can keep our genetic profile boosted. What's exciting is that we are creating a breed of tilapia specifically for ponds and specifically for this part of the world. There's no hatcheries within 8 hours, 400 kilometers from us. This is a cooler part of the world, so fish behave differently because the water is colder. And also, most of the hatcheries are focused on cages, and so cages are very different from ponds. So we're creating quite a unique breed this side, and we really hope it will benefit our farmers. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that short overview of our hatchery and what we do. Thanks for watching. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. We're feeding our fish here. This is Timothy, who stays here for the time, but he's feeding the females. F11, you said? So this is our first generation of the brood. So the F0 is the original brood stock, and then this is the F1, so this is a follow-on. These females are resting in this pond. Now, the problem you'll see with this pond is the quality of the water does not look very good. So, not ideal, but we're sort of, you do what you can. This red on top could be a plant, could be leaching from iron. I'm not 100% sure. Females. So we're at the Ruruku site. So this is our hatchery that we built with thanks with Gatsby Africa, who supported us for this. And the plan here is for us to produce fingerlings for farmers. Look at these ones; these are great. These are the males,
Yeah.
and you can see they're much bigger, these males, than the females. What do you estimate the size is? What's the size?
Last time we sampled the average was 400 grams.
400 something. Yeah, these are nice big fish. And how many individuals do we have here?
We have around 250 males.
250 males, and it's F1,
This is F1 males.
F1-2. So that's the F1 is the first generation you've bred. 2 is the second breeding cycle. So that's how we keep a track of them. And we've got some more fish in that one as well. You have fish in that one? No, so that one is empty at the moment. Oh, you can see the ibis actually looking for their dinner. It's the Madada ibis. So I'll take you around this site in a second. I thought you'd like to see, this is where we're working with farmers, so we're providing fingerlings and we just can't meet the demand at the moment. But the other issue we've got is our brood stock are getting old, so we sort of need to improve the breeding of that. So the last video that you will have seen, that was us at the breeding site, so we're doing brood selection there, but here we're just producing fry for fingerlings for farmers to meet the demand. And then once that brood stock at the other site has got big enough, we'll be breeding those and pushing those to farmers so they're getting a better strain all the time. Look at them, they're so big. Fantastic, these males. It'd be great for eating, but of course we're going to keep them for breeding for now. But eventually they'll end up on the table. Just sloped up a bit from where we were standing as Paulson's arriving. So these happers, we've got 6,000 in here and 3,000 in there, and these are purely for sale for farmers. There's 2 breeding cycles here. The one that has 3,000 is because we are breeding F11 with F12, sorry, F21, and it's basically the quality of the females in that one is they're not as big females. They're like 70 grams. This is about 90 gram females, so we're getting way more fingerlings. And these are sex reverse, these are male. Now I think you saw in the video just now, you saw the size of the males in that pond, and then you saw the size of the females in the other pond, and there's a huge difference between males and females, and that's why you want sex reverse. So when we're selling to farmers, that's what we're trying to do, sex reversed, because the males in that pond were like 500, 450, whereas the females were around 100, if that. And it just goes to show the growth difference that you get just between males and females. So when we're giving these to farmers, or selling to farmers, we're using powder, which is treated with MT, which is a methyl testosterone. And you're just using a natural process that happens in fish where they're genetically plastic. They can move between male and female fairly easily. And so you're just encouraging them to be male, essentially. It's like a natural physiological thing that happens when they eat. They sort of have more hormones. And then you get much faster growth, so it's much better for farmers. And thankfully farmers are starting to realise that. And all of them aren't wanting mixed sex anymore. They're wanting just male fish because they grow quicker, which is what we want to sell because it's better for farmers. Then the other thing that's a challenge is the size. So these are maybe 0.3, 0.5, around that. But the farmers want them. They're like, you've got fingerlings, why can't you just sell them? And we're like, well, we need to wait because then they'll last survival rate. It's like, but you've got fingerlings now, let me take them. There's a lot of pressure that comes to sell those fingerlings, and people can be very persuasive, especially, and if they're a sort of a important person, it's very hard to say no to them. But I've just reiterated, that we need to be doing that. We need to emphasize that essentially we're doing it for their benefit. We want them to come back to us, so it's for our benefit as well, but they will have a much better survival rate. It means that they'll do better. So that's what we're aiming to do. And then at the moment we've got fish, males and females in here, this one and that one, and they're breeding. So they're about a few weeks in. We'll harvest at some point. And then this is our reservoir. So in case we have any water problems, we can move, you can see it's up, so we can move the water around the farm. There's lots of pipes that go everywhere. Oxygen going in there to help aeration. And that's some brood, that's for our brood stock. So we're doing brood stock selection from this site, and had some fish there. Some from this site and from the other site. And then the males and females are in there. And then that one's empty. So we put fish in there when we need to, sorry, it's over there actually. Fish in there when we need to grow out the fry. So we'll put them into peppers, and then it's a better place for them to grow out. So this is the site. Some of you will have seen this, but I don't think we've done that many videos here. So do go back in our catalogue, have a look at some of that content. You'll see the development of this site. You can see we've got like a latrine, and we've got a store and a place for Timothy to stay. He's actually, this is like his family, his grandma's around here or something, so he's from this area. And it's very steep, so I'm going to move up. We use some of these poles to build it, some of the eucalyptus, but leaving some to grow. And then there's a bit of matoke coming out of that, which I like to see. But it's a very nice spot, and it's a great place to bring farmers to. So yeah, it's fantastic that we've got these two facilities, and I hope you enjoy that, and gives you some ideas of what it's like. Either if you're the farmer trying to get fingerlings, what to look out for. You want bigger size and you want males. Don't go for small ones, even though they're a bit cheaper, because they won't survive as long, and you'll end up with mortalities, so you'll pay more in the long run. Just go for less fish. If you haven't got as much money, that'll be a much better option, saving your costs as well. And go for males because they grow much quicker. So that's it. I'll sign off now, but thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next channel, on the next video. Where you can hear the ibis, noisy birds. So I hope you've enjoyed this series. I'm actually cheating a bit because I've had such a fantastic backdrop. I thought you'd want to see this. This is Soroti, and there's a huge rock, and they pump water up and down this rock. There's a big reservoir at the top. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm sure you've enjoyed all that content. Do stay subscribed, and we'll bring you some more footage shortly. Thank you very much, and see you on the next one.